So welcome back, folks, to the Wanneroo channel. I hadn't planned on doing a video on these, but I just had them kind of sitting there, and I thought, well, you know, might be a good idea to do something on them, because maybe there's other people out there taking a look at buying these. And what they are is aftermarket extended Glock magazines, 33 round Glock magazines. And in my experience with a lot of aftermarket magazines, I've never had, I would say, you know, maybe the greatest luck with them. Sometimes they've worked well, sometimes they've not. And I've always used just the regular, in my Glock 17, I've always used just the regular Glock magazines. But I saw these on sale at Classic Firearms, which, by the way, they took a horrendous 7 weeks to ship. So hopefully Classic Firearms will get their act together. But they had these on sale, and I thought, well, you know, for basically the price of an OEM 33 round Glock magazine, you could essentially buy 3 of these. And so I bought 3, and so I was just kind of interested to see how they do. And I figured just for range magazines, or there's a lot of ARs and different pistols now, that AR pistols that take these. So I thought, well, you know, hey, I'll just buy 3 of them and see what they do. So for testing, I don't necessarily believe in all that stuff of driving over them with a tank and all that crap, shooting them and stuff. I mean, that's not really realistic. So I thought the first thing I would actually do with these is simply load them up to the max with 33 rounds and actually let them sit around for a while, because I've got a busy week or 2 coming up, so I probably won't be able to do any shooting in the next week or so. So I thought, hey, you know, see how they do, because with a lot of these magazines out there, you'll run into issues with the feed lips and stuff like that having problems or cracking, and different issues, you know, that come into play with that. So these seem to have some sort of metal kind of feed lips, some sort of metal insert in there. So I thought, hey, might be a good idea first to actually see how durable all that's going to be if you load them up and just have them sit for a while. And taking a look at these in general, from the OEM Glock magazines, the thing I noticed with them is, you know, they don't seem too bad. I would say that, like, there's some marks from the molds, like this right here. That's a little bit rough, these different marks from the molds, but they're okay, you know, just at first glance. But the OEM Glock mags just seem to have that little extra bit of detail. But you know, we'll see how they do. So like I said, I think I'll load them up, let them sit around for a while, and just slam them in the gun and you know, shoot them a bit. And then I might do a drop test on them after that, because that is something that is practical, where you're going to drop these magazines at the range or whatever. You know, even if you pull them out by hand, what if you fumble it and drop it on the ground? So magazines, they just get dropped one way or another. So I might do a little drop test on them later, and you know, run some rounds through them. I've certainly got plenty of 9mm, so and haven't been able to shoot that much this winter. So certainly get out there and you know, do at least a couple cycles of running some ammo through them and see how they do. So anyways, that's just a quick video, and I'll be interested to see how these do and if it's worth kind of going forward with them. These are widely available out there, and I'm sure a lot of people, you know, think about maybe buying them because the price point is so cheap compared to the OEM Glock mags. So yeah, let's see what they do. All right, thanks y'all, and you know, we'll when the time is right, we'll check back in with another video on these and see what they do. All right, y'all have a good one. So out here at the range with the Korean extended magazines, picked these up at Classic Firearms for basically 13 bucks. And first magazine inserted and jam right off the bat. So not a good sign. So we'll see what else we get. Okay, so got the magazine out of the weapon, and looks like we have the metal piece here at the feed lips has shifted significantly. So one thing that I did with these magazines to test how durable they were was that there we go, was that I left them loaded up for a couple weeks, and figured we'd see what we would get. Well, that's not a good sign off the bat. So this is probably 13 bucks down the drain. So, you know, sometimes I'll tell you out there, there's aftermarket mags where sometimes you don't really have a choice. That's all that's available. Maybe it's an older firearm, curio and relic, something like that, whatever it might be. But in a lot of cases with some of these aftermarket mags, I never hear a lot of good about them. Not just speaking specifically about this, but you know, just various random stuff out there. And that's the thing, is that sometimes it's worth just paying the extra money and getting the proper factory magazine, and just paying the cash and getting something that you know is going to work. Because for me, I just don't want to deal with unreliable stuff. So I'll have to unload all the ammo out of that and see why that metal follower's kind of loose there and investigate further, but probably this is going in the trash. So now we have our second magazine here. Let's see, will you focus? There we go. So that metal feed lip looks okay. So we will go ahead and run this one. Unfortunately today, I did not bring my tripod with me or my GoPro, so I don't have any assistance to film me shooting. So we'll just have to run the rounds through and see if this can make it through without having any issues. So this is the second magazine. Okay, so the second one made it through firing, no problems at all, and worked okay, so that's good. So that's promising. So looks like the metal insert there is intact, so that's good. So I'm going to move to the third magazine here. Let's see what we got. And those metal feed lips look okay, so we'll go ahead and shoot this one and see what happens. All right, so welcome back, folks. So this is just to wrap up the Korean-made extended Glock magazines that I bought from Classic Firearms. It looks like the manufacturer here is RWB, made in Korea. So I've heard mixed things about these magazines, as I've mentioned before. Out of the three that we got for $12.99 each, plus the shipping, I think I paid for shipping. I don't think there was free shipping. We had two that worked fine, no issues. Ran, inserted into the gun, dropped out of the gun fine. Fed the ammunition fine, no problem. But on the third one, we ran into issues where it jammed off the bat. And I kind of knew whenever I got the magazines there was potential for an issue, because I could tell compared to the other two, this metal insert here was off center. And so it was no surprise that it didn't work out for us. And it didn't. Just a couple minutes ago, I removed the spring and follower out of here. The base plate, even depressing the button here, took a bit of persuasion from a hammer to get it going and get it popped off. So we got that out. And looking down in here, basically you have this metal insert that kind of goes the whole length of the magazine. So however they pressed it in or whatever, it just kind of ended up off center when they manufactured it. And so that's what we ended up with. So maybe there was some quality control there lacking, because that's fairly obvious there when you compare this one to this one here that works. So, yep, so missed in quality control, or maybe there was no quality control, or who knows. But in any case, it didn't work out. So with this, at the end of the day, to give my final thoughts on it, when I'm dealing with firearms, I just want stuff to work. I see it as, it's kind of like a car. When you get in a car, you start it up, you just want it to work. You don't want to have the feeling that, hey, I drive down the road and this thing can break down at any time. Yes, mechanical breakdowns happen, but they should be rare and few and far between. And it's the same thing to me with firearms components. I don't want to have to deal with something that has issues basically right out of the box, or has terminal issues. In this case, you know, this magazine will never run properly. So kind of unfortunate. I have no idea what Classic Firearms, what their return policy is or what. You know, I guess I could go to the trouble of returning this and trying to exchange it or get a refund. But, you know, I don't even, like I said, I don't even know what their policy is on that. I haven't even looked. Probably at the end of the day, it's not worth my time, and it's just better just to chuck it in the trash can. You know, and sadly, because I hate to waste stuff. So anyways, I would say a big no on these. I would say spend the money on the OEM Glock magazines. Who's ever heard of an OEM Glock magazine failing? I haven't. Maybe somewhere, somehow, out there, it happened. But I haven't heard any stories of it. So if you've heard a story of it, you can post it below. But I've personally have not heard of anything like that. So, you know, obviously it could happen. I'm sure there's somebody out there that shoots hundreds of thousands of rounds through a Glock and has worn out a spring or something in a magazine. Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody with a story out there. But when do you ever hear of them failing? I don't. So I think it's just better to go ahead, spend your money on the OEM Glock stuff. Maybe the Magpul magazines are fine. I don't know. Haven't tested those. But I would say a no on these. Now, one caveat to that, I'd say, hey, let's say you're strapped for money, and it's a thing where budget is a big thing for you, and you're like, hey, for the $38 they're going to charge me for a OEM Glock extended magazine, I can get 3 of these Korean ones, and I'm just going to take my chance and hope that it works out, and I get 3 magazines that work reliably. Okay, I mean, you could do that. You know, if it's a thing where, hey, you're just going to use them to have fun on the range or whatever, and you're not necessarily concerned with reliability or whatever, hey, you know, go for it. You know, if price is the big consideration for you and you're willing to take that chance. But for me, the way I kind of look at it with firearms is that unless it's some curio and relic or something like that, if it's a modern firearm or a modern magazine or something, it just needs to work out of the box. I don't want anything basically in my mix where I could potentially grab this in a situation where I need to save my life or defend my life, and this thing is basically not going to work. So, you know, for me, it's better off with this just being in the trash can. So kind of sad, but oh well. So that'll wrap it up for this review. So we've got a lot of other stuff coming, like in the video I just released of all the different projects. We also got one of those Polymer 80 pieces that we'll be working on as well. So lots of different stuff coming up, and we're going to continue to put the videos out, and I hope everyone's enjoying them. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was some use to y'all, and have a good day.